We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order.
Roll call for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 at 9 a.m. Members Titus,
Here.
Brzezinski. Flores.
Yes.
Horton.
Here.
Pohl.
Here.
Schaaf. Troop.
Yes.
All right, this brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. As we stand, I'd like to take in our moment of silence to honor and acknowledge and hold space for the young children we lost over the weekend in the fire and all those who have been impacted, including our first responders who were there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the minutes from the March 18th meeting and bills for payment on April 3rd and 10th, 2026. Members Brzezinski. Yes. Flores.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Pohl.
Yes.
Schaaf.
Yes.
Troop.
Yes.
Titus.
Yes. So this is going to take us to our presentations this morning. We have a presentation from Ms. Catherine Easterling and Ms. Deb Smith on the CDBG allocations. So we'll just take a minute to go over some of that, what we've talked in caucus, but for the whole public to see.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Department of Economic and Community Development is required to submit an annual plan to HUD each year. Every 5 years, we do a 5-year consolidated plan. Last year, we did a 2025 to 2029 consolidated plan, in addition to an annual plan. And so we are proposing these numbers for our fiscal year 2026 plan. We don't have our allocation yet, so these numbers are proposed. I'm not going to go down each of the individual projects. I'll give a total. If there's a question on any of them, just ask a question. All right, so we are using last year's numbers, which our proposed allocation was $2,775,245. There was program income of $5,000, so we had a total of $2,780,245. For our proposed City of Erie request, we are looking to propose $1,575,049. Are there any questions on that line item?
I mean, I guess I've talked to Tyler about it. I see that the street improvements are over 700,000, and then we have the DECD administrator cost at 555,000. I guess I have an issue, and then curve cuts being 200,000, an issue with these specific funds being used for these specific purposes outside of the administrative cost. These are community funds that could be used for programs. As I'm going through the list, I see that we don't have any funds allocated for Meals on Wheels. We don't have any funds allocated for Nutrition Hearts Human Resources. We don't have any fund for Erie City Missions Human Resources. And then...
All right, I guess you want me to, I'm not sure which ones you want me to answer.
I guess I'm just concerned on why some of these programs have no allocations. And then there is a specific question that I have about what is the City of Erie's literacy program? I see that it's getting over...
All right, I'll go back to City of Erie requests. Those were the requests. Keep in mind that any of our projects that we provide funding to have to benefit low, moderate income individuals. So all of these projects are benefiting them in some way. It could be streets, it could be curb cuts, it could be park and playground improvements. All of those projects benefit low, moderate income people. In regards to our public service, we are capped at 20.96% of what our base allocation is to provide services there. In regards to Meals on Wheels, we actually funded them last year. They contacted me in December and said that they couldn't use the funding, so they did not apply for this year. Nurturing Hearts, we provided funding to them last year. Their program changed, they couldn't use the funding, they did not apply this year. In regards to the Erie City Mission, they changed their program last year when it came in for funding, and so we're unable to fund them now because they changed their program. We did meet with them to see if they wanted to go back to what they originally submitted to us, but they didn't, so that's why they're not funded. Which other ones?
The JFK summer program.
JFK opt to not have a summer rec program. We provide whatever that total funding is in the human resources.
Alrighty, and then can you tell me what the City of Erie Literacy
So
Program
the City of
is?
Erie Literacy Program, we are still actually kind of working details out with that. And so what will happen, someone from the city will be hired. That person will go out to all of the different agencies. They will look and see what kind of literacy programs they have. We will look to have some kind of model to ensure that maybe we can improve whatever they're doing with like their after-school program, their summer rec program. Everything's not ironed out yet, but that's what it basically is.
Okay.
If I could, Dr. Titus, I want to help Deb. This is my initiative, so I want to absolutely support her in this. As you know, we've talked about aligning the city's programs with the school district's main priorities. Literacy, as we've talked about, is a social justice issue in the city of Erie. We have way too many kids who are reading under grade level. So we, as part of the CDBG initiative this year, asked for an allocation so that we could hire someone to oversee any program that is receiving dollars from the city of Erie, whether that's through CDBG or whether it's through our summer rec, our parks program, that they add a literacy component that aligns with the school district's priorities, and that this person can go out and make sure that outcomes are being measured, that we're understanding what that literacy component is, and make sure it's all aligned. Deb and her team have their own measurement outcomes they have to follow. This would be a separate initiative to make sure, as I said, that the city's providing that level of oversight for those programs.
And are we taking into consideration that our community is multilingual? So English is not the...
Absolutely, and I
Okay.
appreciate you saying that. When we've talked with the school district, for example, their new Parent Square program immediately translates. They have instant access, so we'll be working with them as we push these things out to make sure that they're in multiple languages. And if I could just also add, Ms. Flores, I want to say your question about streets is absolutely, I share your frustration and concern. However, right now, we have no other funds to pave our streets. So we, as I've said before, we want to work with you in future budgets to see how we could do this differently. We are open to that, but for right now, given the budget that we had, we do also, I can't tell you how many pothole calls we're getting, and so we wish we didn't have to do this either, and I want to work with you in the future not to, but this year, we need those dollars to pave our streets.
Mr. Horton?
Thank you, Dr. Titus. Thank Ms. Flores for her questions. Very relevant and meaningful. But I want to just comment to the mayor's initiative, the literacy program. I think it's uber important that the three taxing bodies work together in a comprehensive manner to address literacy. I would hope that whoever the person is would use the same, and I don't want to hear best practices, because best practices is whatever you put in, garbage in, garbage out, in a lot of instances. But I would hope that whatever happens, there is a summer reading component to it, because reading is fundamental. And if a child can't read, and I would hope that they would focus on the middle school, elementary school age, although I do know that there are high school students who cannot read, sadly. The school district and we as a community have failed them. And I think that whenever you start talking about doing that type of interaction, that it has to start at those ages. If you're realistically trying to do that. As for the upper grades, I'm not writing anyone off, but we do have existing programs, GED, and at some point the community college should bring something online to catch those who are falling through the net. So I commend you on that. I look forward to helping with that component. If there was one thing I wish I would have done more in my youth, it was read. And so I'm a proponent of it. I'm always trying to get children to go down and visit our wonderful, wonderful Blasco Library. The children's section is under construction, but there might be some opportunities to work there with the county so that we have all three legs of the taxing bodies involved. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud it. As a young person, I remember reading lots of books to earn pan pizzas from Pizza Hut. So it was something that incentivized you to read, I think, 10 books or something before you got the coupon. So I think more kids would definitely be encouraged to do things if we incentivize them a little bit more. Because unless my grade school teacher, Miss Swanson, would not had made us do popcorn reading, my reading out loud would not be as good as it is. So, you know, we have to incentivize the kids to want to be better and do better. And sometimes putting a screen in front of their face at a year old is not really teaching them. You have to sit down and do the reading. So Blasco is great.
Well, I know this is going to be a long morning, but I just feel the need to say that it's important to me, libraries and reading, because as we celebrate America's 250, I'm reminded of a time when black people weren't allowed to read, and when it cost you your life to get caught with a book. And so reading wasn't always fundamental for everybody. And so it's one of the most important things, and they can rewrite history or try to, or regurgitate it in the fashion they want it to. But some horrible things happen here. So when you don't see a lot of blacks celebrating America 250, it's kind of, we want to, but it's like celebrating, I wish I was back in Dixie. And nobody in hell wants that. And so, but reading is, yeah, it's one of the most fundamental things that an American can learn how to do. Whether it's, I don't care what language it is. And so thank you so much for indulging me.
Are there any other questions?
When the time comes, because I know it's still in the formation, I would just request that maybe we do a presentation just on the literacy programs in a very similar format. Once, I know the details have to be, but thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So on the housing programs for CDBG, we have $289,228. For our public service, we have a total of $760,968. We are only permitted to take 20.96 of what our base allocation is, or the max is $778,960. In regard to DEC, on our economic development, we have $155,000. For DECD administration, we are allowed to take 20% of our CDBG grant, and so we take what we are allowed to do. Administrative costs are really hard to come by in different grants, and so we take whatever the maximum is for that. Are there any questions on the CDBG proposed budget?
Do we have the plans or the proposed project for the Erie downtown development for that 100,000?
Mm-hmm. And so that is actually what they're looking to do is have an anchor building for startup businesses where they will provide support to them as well as let them come into that building and start up their business.
Okay. That would be another one I'd love for a presentation. We've seen a couple of those come through, the startup ones, to see just some of the outcomes.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. And I will say, we vetted that one pretty significantly, so we have a lot of information on it.
Wonderful.
Happy to provide more.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So that's it for CDBG. We do have proposed numbers for home investment partnership, which is home. For rental properties, we have $600,000 for rental housing. For housing rehabilitation, $124,634.06. And for city administration, $80,514. We're allowed to take 10% for administration. We have to set aside 15% for a CHODO activity. That is the Community Housing Development Organization that we must have, and we must do a project with that organization each year. Are there any questions on any of this?
Any questions from councilors?
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Just a reminder that we will have 2 more public hearings on Monday, April 13th. We'd love to have you there at them. They're at 10 and 6 p.m.
You said
If you
April
have any
13th?
comments, you can make those there. April 13th. And our proposed plan will be on display. It'll be on the city's website, as well as the community centers from April 3rd to May 4th. And we hope to have our allocation by then, and then we will look to submit our plan to HUD, but we have to come to you on May 6th, getting authorization to do that.
And just for the public's benefit, could you just clarify where public comment can be submitted if they wanted to
They
comment?
can be submitted to the Department of Economic and Community Development, 626 State Street, room 404, or they can send an email to me, dsmith@erie.pa.us.
Well, I want to thank you and your staff for such a wonderful report and for all the hard work that you do. I'll reach out to you because I'd like to come up and meet you and your staff and just find out more about what you do and how I can help.
Sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So this then takes us on to the request. Is there anybody here for repository sales? Is there anybody here for repository sale? Is there anybody here for repository sale? All right, this will take us into our public comment. So I will ask if you're going to speak publicly to please clearly state your name, your municipality, and your record. Please note you'll have 5 minutes. We have the timer going off, so just be mindful when it goes to please let the next person speak. Go ahead.
Elizabeth Stanton, Harbor Creek.
Could you just slide that mic down a little bit? It's just having a hard time picking. Thank you.
Elizabeth Stanton, Harbor Creek. Dr. Titus, I would like to let you know that I grieve for the stress and fatigue that you are under. I am here opposing a loan for the $7.6 million to Scott Enterprise. I was deeply saddened to listen as the Director of Government Affairs for the Erie Regional Chamber supported this loan. His main rationale for the support was the hard work done by the previous administration. The people of Erie City and County have spoken. We have a new mayor, a new member on the City Council, a new chairperson presiding over the council, and a new county executive. Erie residents want old problems viewed through new visions and new solutions. Awarding wealth to the wealthy does not work for Black American communities in Erie, the underserved population, due to systemic barriers. It only widens the wealth gap. The Benedictine Sisters of Erie are going to conduct a prayer vigil through the streets of Erie on Friday, condemning this kind of racism. Along with the Reaganomics and trickle-down economy, along with white flight and wealth flight of the 1980s, have left a negative impact on Black American communities of Erie for the last 40 years, resulting in left-behind communities of high poverty and low-medium household income. According to the Erie County Department of Health, there are 7 food deserts within the city limits. United Way of Erie reports child poverty rates as high as 36%. $7.6 million from Erie City's revitalization and improvement zones needs to go to hungry children and families living in substandard housing. I come out of the 1960s, the civil rights movement. I wrote these words at that time, but I believe that they are still apropos today. Oh Lord my God, I see the little children, they have no place but in the streets to play. But in their eyes, they are no longer children, for they have known the hurts that life can bring. O Lord my God, when I in deep depression look out into the world where I live, I see the streets are filled with many people. Their sad eyes ask, will we ever be free? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Julich. I live in the city of Erie. I'm here to advocate for support of public art. The city revitalization and improvement zone process is expected to have a transformative impact on the city of Erie. It is expected to help revitalize neighborhoods and enhance the quality of life for residents by providing up to $15 million annually to invest in economic development in the city. The CRIZ Authority and the city should include support for public art in this transformation. Public art can be an essential element in the development of a municipality, creating attractive spaces that people want to visit. Including public art and development projects encourages people to spend time in the area, humanizes public spaces, and differentiates a municipality. Just as you may include art in your home, adding art to this city we call home provides an inviting, enjoyable living space, improving the quality of life for all who live here. CRIZ can best support public art by stipulating that any project that receives CRIZ funding allocate 1% of the total development cost for public art. Similar funding approaches have been implemented in cities throughout North America, including Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Baltimore, Montreal, New York City, Chicago, Toledo, and Ottawa, and others, creating hundreds of attractive spaces and reasons to spend time in these cities. On behalf of anyone who wants a more inviting, livable city, I urge the CRIZ Authority and the city to include 1% for public art in your funding criteria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Michael Weigold with Erie. I have some documents here. This is in regards to the Erie City Parks and the maintenance of them, which is, I believe, being signed today. The current provider who is set to take place has a proven track record of a blatant disregard for safety of their equipment. Through 21 and 25, I've got records here that show years of infractions, 20 plus, of their on-road fleet. Now, this specifically states in the documents for work in the city of Erie that they can disqualify bids for this exact reason of safe equipment. Also, what does this mean for their off-road fleet, the equipment that will be servicing these parks? These items do not require safety and inspection checks. Their equipment that does is constantly under scrutiny and being ticketed. So there's some food for thought on that. With proper safety and training, these infractions should not occur. I urge the city and their lawyers to review these records and to think of the public when it comes to doing this work. There are many city parks, many city residents that utilize these parks, and their equipment must be in safe and proper manner while facilitating these services. Some of these infractions, just to name a few: operating with unsafe equipment, 15 plus infractions, and operating with hazardous brake systems, as among others. Just once again, the equipment must be in a safe and proper manner while doing services, and I urge the city to disregard their proposal and bid on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who could I turn these into, or is there any place to do so?
Our solicitor.
Hello, Caleb Retchen, City of Erie. Just a quick note before I jump into the main thing that I want to talk about. I've heard inklings about some people not being able to be allowed to grow food any longer. I don't know the details of that situation, but it sounds very concerning to me. I think that that is a human right, so it sounds very problematic. But once I get more details,
where that is?
I'm still gathering some details myself, so I really can't fully speak to it, which is why it's a little bit of a footnote. But I've heard a few things that it sounds very concerning. So I would probably instead love to see the promotion of urban farming, even by renters. I think that that would be a great program if something like that doesn't already exist. But really the main thing that I want to talk about, I mentioned last time I was here as sort of another footnote, which is the flock cameras. I just wanted to bring a little bit of awareness to those, what those are. Some of you may know that I have been speaking in the Mill Creek Township Supervisors meetings about this because they have, in some capacity, facilitated the cameras going up in the mall. I can provide further details afterwards if anybody wants to talk about some of that stuff, but these cameras are incredibly insecure and very dangerous. There's two factors that make that the case, which is that they are networked, which means that they are able to connect to the internet. The internet is generally very insecure. There's a lot of access points. If you know anything about security, physical or cybersecurity, the more access points you have, the more danger there is for hacking and other people getting access to this sort of stuff that shouldn't have access to it. The other part of it is that these cameras use AI. Some people will tell you that they are just fancy license plate readers, but they are, the difference between those two things, the flock cameras and the license plate readers, is like comparing a pocket watch to a smartphone. The capabilities that they have are tremendous and in the hands of any sort of hacker, which would be very appealing to not just local but international folks as well. They can be devastating and we would have no real recourse. So what I would love to see is an ordinance to proactively prevent these cameras from going up. I am working to try and get these cameras taken down in Mill Creek as best as I can. As awareness continues to grow, we see more people concerned about Fourth Amendment rights being violated, since there is a very difficult thing to check to find out if your Fourth Amendment right is even being violated, but they are live feed cameras that can be accessed at any given moment, and so you have no way of knowing if you are essentially being stalked. So there's a lot of concerning points about this. For just a small amount of background too, I am a software engineer. I feel my own computers. I am not just saying this from general fear-based sort of concerns. I know that these things are capable or possible. And I've spent a good amount of time looking into the company that builds these cameras called Flock Safety. And they have been shown to be liars on many, many accounts. Their systems are incredibly insecure, and even if the security continues to grow as technology improves, the very premise of these cameras is faulty because it requires them to have so many access points. You're never going to be able to secure that sort of thing, no matter how secure you are given the premise. So just wanted to make sure I give a little bit of awareness there, and like I said, I will be around to discuss some of this further if anybody would like to. But that's the quick, off the top of my head rundown. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I got some documents I want to share with you folks.
Could you state your name and municipality?
My name is Mike Rensel. I grew up in Erie in a low-income neighborhood. I went to a multiracial church as a child. They taught me to be a good steward with my funds. And
what's your current municipality? Like, where do you currently reside?
I reside right outside the city of Erie, and I'd rather not say where my residence is, but
You
I
don't have
have,
to give our address, just.
right,
like,
East Springfield.
Thank you.
And I have 5 rental properties inside the city of Erie. I run to a lot of minorities, at one time like 70%, right now around 50%. I bought the house that me and my mom lived in. I bought the house down the street from where me and my mother lived. There was an individual, or 2 individuals, that were drug dealers, and they sold some drugs to one of my tenants. They told me they did not want me to rent to minorities. They told me they had a problem with my religion. As you can see the photographs, they physically assaulted me. They vandalized my property. They sent me text messages stating they have an anti-religious text message to me and stating they'd done things to my property. And I gave that to the police, and the police were telling me that it's a civil matter. This was 7 years ago. Then recently, last month, I've been renting an apartment to like a lady that's, I think, 76 or 78 years old. Her grandson came over. The same individuals, I believe, are selling him meth. And he told me basically the same stuff that the other 2 drug dealers told me, that these drug dealers are also users of drugs. But he told me basically, the police will not help you. I can damage your property. I want money from you for drugs. He threatened to kill basically his grandmother and his aunt. And as you got the paperwork, that's the PFA his aunt said on him. He literally told me, I seen him with the knife in his hand, and he told me that he was gonna kill his grandmother and his aunt. He told me he's gonna damage my property. He told me he's gonna remove the furnaces and the hot water tanks out of my house to sell for drugs, and then he's gonna report me to code enforcement. This is very similar to that happened to me last time when the people vandalized my property. After they vandalized my property, they reported me to code enforcement. Law enforcement tells me it's a civil matter, which it's not. And code enforcement said they were told by law enforcement it was a civil matter. I've been repeatedly assaulted. I think this is a religious and a racial thing. These crimes are financially, that's the source, but there's a racial undertone to it. When people come to the house with a Confederate flag, and I'm running to an African-American grandmother that lives upstairs, and now she told me she doesn't feel comfortable in that neighborhood. So I offered her free rent for this month so she can find a new place to live. This young man stabbed the whole apartment up, ripped the shower apart, as you can see the pictures, threatened to kill basically everybody in the neighborhood. The police won't even arrest him. I found out he was on probation. I called his probation officer. He's, as far as I know, in the city of Erie jail, but he will get out. And he weighs about 130 pounds. There's no way I can outrun him. I mean, he's gonna stab me or shoot me. I've been repeatedly told that they're gonna cause me grief. On the first incident 7 years ago, they tried to extort $500 a month from me. They said they want to tax me and make me pay for protection. They repeatedly shake me down. I was able to fight 2 of them off 7 years ago, and I'm older now. I got an artificial knee. The police tell me it's a civil matter, which it's not. There's been people prosecuted for damaging apartments. It's my property. When I talked to law enforcement, they said if someone damages my property, I have to get permission from my tenants to press charges. And I said, no, it's my property. I took some classes on vandalism and stuff to learn how to prosecute. The police don't really seem that interested in me, in my problems. They're more interested in my tenants and how I rent. They're not interested in criminals.
Thank you.
And I'm asking for help.
Thank you. We'll make sure that we get this over to the solicitor, and we'll have the solicitor and Mayor follow up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So, anybody?
Good morning. I'm Marty Wachuku, resident of the city of Erie. I'm here to speak about the cost of living crisis as well as the renter housing situation in our community. We are maybe a few hours or a few days from the United States potentially putting boots on the ground in Iran. And if you're following the news, you know that there's a fuel crisis happening around the world. That the only thing protecting us right now from our gas being $10 a gallon is our current fuel reserves. I say that all to say that rent is expensive, utilities have been expensive, healthcare costs are hitting people. There's a lot of things that people are having to pay for. And this summer, with the cuts to SNAP, with the cuts to Medicaid, and all the other cuts from the Trump regime is going to be hitting people very hard. So I want to read you some numbers from the Public Housing Authority. I know here in Erie we don't have control over HUD costs, but I want you to know what they are saying are market rate costs that they expect not only people in public housing to pay for, but with these costs is what the average renter across Erie would be expected to pay. So for a studio apartment, the starting cost would be $781. For a one-bedroom apartment, the cost would be $861. For a two-bedroom, that would be $1,118. And for a three-bedroom, that would be $1,392. When I moved here in 2017, I lived in the Gannon neighborhood, and I paid $525 for a one-bedroom apartment. I don't know how much it costs now, but as a 24-year-old moving into my first apartment, making, I think at that time, $33,000, that was a good cost for me. And our wages here in Pennsylvania have not been raised in more than 10 years. Home care workers are making about $13 an hour. Child care workers are making around the same age. We have a suppressed economy. So these expectations of these costs are exorbitant. And I think we need to go to the state, because I know the city doesn't have money. I just listened to you say how much you don't have money to pave roads. We need to declare a cost of living crisis, not only here in the city of Erie, but here in the county, so that we can go to the state delegation and the governor and ask for funds to be released from the rainy day fund. We as a city and community can determine what we need. It could be, let's have an extermination program, citywide, pay for it through the state. It could be stimulus checks. It can be whatever we need, but we cannot go through this crisis and not ask for anything. I think the city needs to declare a crisis. And I know on the 15th, you're going to be voting to give Scott Enterprises the different variances that they're asking for. And I think at this point in the process, it might be a little late to ask for some community benefit agreements, but I think regardless, we need to revisit that conversation about what we should be demanding when it comes to LERTA, RCAP funds, and other funds. So that's that on the economic crisis. I want to very briefly share some stories from the last week I've heard when it comes to the renter crisis. I talked to a caseworker and two Afghani immigrants who had a landlord situation where the landlord was refusing to receive rental assistance payments because he wanted the situation to remain private. And so now the renters are falling behind. I talked to a neighbor who is living next door to 4 young women who are in a mice-infested property and whose roof is also creating safety issues for them. They're going to report it to code enforcement, but these young ladies in their early 20s are not familiar with the process, are afraid of getting in trouble, and would just rather move out in May rather than deal with the situation. That's great for them, but when they move, what are we going to do about that situation not being resolved for the next tenant? And then lastly, there's a senior who lives here on the Lower West Side whose rent is affordable right now, but her apartment is falling apart and her landlord is refusing to do anything about it. But she knows that for the rent she has right now, it's the most affordable she can find in the market, so she's staying in a bad situation. And so those are a few stories I've heard over the last week. And I say that all to say, between the very different nonprofits, whether it be Yuma, Erie Care Management, Catholic Charities, GCAC, St. Martin Centers. People are running low on funds. That's one problem. Another reason why we need to go to the state and ask for more funds. And the second being, the different entities don't seem to be communicating to each other. There doesn't seem to be an inspection process before they're moving not only new Americans into these properties, but people dealing with addiction problems, people dealing with mental health problems, and we just need a better process. So I think we need a public hearing to flesh this all out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else for public comment?
Good morning, Council, Mayor. Ed Kissel, City of Erie. Just to reiterate, you heard testimony 2 weeks ago on a development on the waterfront, and there were some discussions. I received a couple phone calls on it from a developer that would like to sit down and discuss different things about that. I don't know how City Council would look at another planning meeting, or you're going to take the testimony that was recorded and base your decisions on that. If you are, I would just say, if you go back in the records, that project started in 1999, 26 years ago, and there have been a number of proposals, a number of changes that have been good and bad, and mostly good. I mean, I am not against that development. I am against what people say that they're going to do for the public, and then it changes a number of times. So I asked council to look at the records. If you need different records, I have most of them from the 1999, and there were certain things said by both sides. I'm sure they can be debated, but I think it can be resolved with a meeting or talking. It'd be something council would have to decide if they want to do that. So I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I would request, if we haven't received those records from you, I would like them. I don't know if we've got everything that you've collected, but I would like to see them.
At least the presentation that was presented in 1993 would be a great thing to see. I mean, that was before my time.
Yeah.
There have been a lot more than your times have been here, except Eddie up there. I started collecting stuff in '85 on the Bayfront, so a lot of that's in my head and laying all over my house. My wife's after me to clean it up. I can, which I did submit the legal documents, and that's what I go on, other than the hearsay. I mean, people say different things, but I presented 2 weeks ago the actual requirements that should have been looked at and completed. And I don't know, getting into zoning, you might consider when you do developments, and I preached this for years, that when the development is done, if there's a public issue attached to it, that public issue be completed at the time the development is completed. We have a 25-year history on Perry's Landing, that the public park and the fishing platform was supposed to be done. It never got done by the developer. It was done by the Port Authority, Coastal Zone Management, and the Sons got the money together to see what you have at the end of Liberty Pier. That started as a 2-acre park. The Port Authority bought the property and expanded it to what you see down there today. And there have been different things that have occurred, and hopefully this can be resolved. There's still some green areas in this project that could be developed, and I think by talking to the developer, it could be done. I'm sure they want to move the project forward, and I would too. Like I say, I'm not opposed to the hotel, but I am opposed to some of the statements and documents that were presented that would show why I am. So again, I can gather as much as I have for my records and get them to the clerk, and council can take a look at them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Hi, I'm not really sure how this works, but my name is Treasure. I am no longer a resident of Erie. Am I still able to speak?
Yes. Just
Okay.
What municipality or where do you reside? You don't have to give us your address, but just. Like,
Oh,
city.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you.
Okay. So I am here today to speak on a few incidents that happened. Excuse me. I remember being here one time. Like I said, I don't really know how this works, but Ms. Flores spoke about how when it comes to the police department, it's kind of where you have more leeway or whatever. So when I heard that, like I said, I'm unfamiliar with this. This is new to me. I said, okay, so if I have issues or concerns with the police department, this is where I go to express what happened or to express how I feel. So thank you for that information. I'm a Black woman, as you can see. I have Black family members. And I was like, growing up, I wasn't taught to be afraid or to hate the police, but it was definitely said often in my community. Urban areas that I've grew up in, I went to the bars in those areas, to the community spaces in those areas, and I see how we as the Black community are treated by the police, but specifically Erie Police Department. I know that you all are aware how the Erie Police Department, some of the officers hold up their chest, pick on someone. I was told by an Erie police officer that I didn't have any rights, and that I was dumb, and that I was a bad mother, and they taunted me. And I didn't think that that was right. I'm like, do you have cameras on? Like, are people gonna be able to hear what you're saying to me? So I saw, I think he was like the junior district attorney, I think his last name was Leitner, and he told me, he's like, I know, they're a-holes, So I'm like, oh my, you know that? I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, did you hear what they were saying to me in the audio? He was like, yeah, but you were drunk. I was like, really? Why do you say you were loud? Or, so I was a loud Black woman? Okay. But again, back to what I came here to discuss. I'm a Black woman, I have Black siblings, relatives. I see how the police are towards us. But what I didn't know is that it's not just a white or Black thing. There was an accident that happened on Thanksgiving Day. I'm pretty sure you all know. I just found out about it. I seen and read everything. This was a white family, Dorothy. I don't know how to say her last name, so I won't mess it up. But Dorothy, 2014, Thanksgiving Day crash. Officer crashed. Witnesses say they saw this, they saw that. But ultimately, it was up to the investigators and the DA. He didn't, no consequences, but a family lost their 87-year-old mother, grandmother, loved one. Then we have Matthew, also a red light situation. Ran the red light, killed Matthew. Don't want to mess up his last name, but you all are aware of who I'm speaking of. That family no longer has a loved one. It's not gun violence. It's not a Black family. They're white families who also suffer the hatred and the loss and the whatever that the police department bestows upon my community. I seen that kind of on their family. And I'm like, oh my, this is not a Black or white issue. This is a policy issue. This is an employee issue. So I came all the way here. I wanted to express my concerns because I'm 32 years old. This has been going on long before I was here. Yes, the situation that happened with Marcello, I came here. I spoke how I felt. I wasn't angry at anyone. But it's like these officers outside of here. I read about the article about the officer who was drunk off duty and he crashed into the fire truck. He's a human being. He was able to pay some fines and get off with it. Officers getting into crashes while drunk, not just that one. Officers punching you in your face, kicking you in your face. There's these one officers with these mustaches. I'm scared of them. It seems like every time they see me, they pick with me. It's like, what is the background that you guys are asking for them to show? Are you asking them, are they racist? Are you asking them, do they beat their wives? I mean, just a policy review, an employee review would mean so much. Justice for Matthew, justice for Dorothy, justice for Cello, justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else for public comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next part.
Ordinances for final passage. Council File Number 16599, Official Ordinance 2026, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of Erie, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance 16599, and now known as 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes.
Pohl?
Yes.
Schaaf?
Yes.
Troop?
Yes.
Titus?
Yes.
City Council pass official file ordinance 2026 by yeas 7, nays 0. Ordinances for first reading. Council file number 16600, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $120,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for the purchase of 3 code enforcement vehicles and related equipment through the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Grant Number C 000096521, sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Brzezinski. The Council File Ordinance 16600, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes.
Pohl?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Troop?
Yes.
Titus?
Yes.
City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16600 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16601, an ordinance appropriating $5 million from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. The funds were received from the Erie Sewer Authority Bond Redemption and Improvement Fund account for wastewater treatment plant disinfection systems improvement project. Sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Councilmember Horton. The Council File Ordinance 16601, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes.
Pohl?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Troop?
Yes.
Titus?
Yes.
City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16601 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16602.
Mr. President,
Yes.
full disclosure, we are waiting a couple weeks for the Harbor Place project. I'd like to move to table this bike lane thing until we see exactly what we're looking at. I have been a loud voice for a long time. My main problem with this is that we get a hunk of money from PennDOT, and they do 8 blocks here, 7 blocks here. I've never seen it connected. I was told they can't get across 38th Street because of the zoo. So there's a dead area. This part, supposedly, is going to take us up to 26th and French. And then where do we go?
So there's a proposal on the table, a request for a motion to table. Is there a second from a council member?
I'll second.
We'll call for the vote on the motion.
Discussion.
Yes.
I believe it's proper before you call for the vote, since you've had a first and second.
Yes, you're correct.
I don't necessarily disagree with my colleague, but since this is a first reading, I think it allows for a couple of weeks for us to answer or to seek out any solutions or to whatever questions one may have. And I think it would be more appropriate that if at that time, when the second reading comes, if those haven't been answered, I think it would be a more appropriate time to table it. But I don't see tabling the first reading as a necessary step in this process. Thank you.
Any other comment from any other councilors? My point, or my notion would be the same as Councilor Horton, that I would, I'm going to vote no on the motion as this is the first reading, and that if we're not satisfied, that I would then motion to table at the next.
You know, this is, it's not as simple as you think it is. You know that most of this was done by drone, by people in Lancaster or Allentown? They're not even local people setting this thing up. And you're ready to go and throw another 400,000. I'll just be on record for what I just said, I guess. Thank you.
Dr. Tyler,
Yes.
Titus, again, I don't necessarily disagree, because there's certainly not probably questions that I have, but we're not voting to enact or adopt anything today. We're asking about this motion, what's on the agenda is just to move it to a second. And I think that I don't see that there's anything wrong with moving it to a second. And to my colleagues' point, when we come back to a second amendment, if some of those things still haven't been answered, then we have the option, and we have to table it at that time. And so for that reason, I'll be voting no against tabling this today.
We'll go ahead and call for the vote on the motion.
We have a resolution, motion by Member Ed Brzezinski, seconded by Kathy Schaaf, to table City Council File Number 16602. Members Brzezinski?
Yes.
Flores?
No.
Fortin?
No.
Pohl?
No.
Schaaf?
Yes.
Troop?
No.
Titus?
No.
Table fails to adopt 3-4. Oh, no, that's not true. 2-5, sorry. Okay, we're voting on Council File Number 16602, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $350,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to provide for the expenditure thereof for the construction phase of Erie Loop Bikeway French Street project. Sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Councilmember Horton. The Council File Ordinance 16602, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski?
No.
Flores?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes.
Pohl?
Yes.
Schaaf?
Yes.
Troop?
Yes.
Titus?
Yes.
City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16602 by yea 6, nays 1, on first reading. Okay, this takes us into old business. We have a resolution sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. Resolved by the Council of the City of Erie that pursuant to Pennsylvania 47 PS 4461B3, in a public hearing held on Wednesday, March 18th at approximately 7 p.m. in City Council chambers, the intermunicipal transfer of liquor license number R8014 from Bachmiller Enterprises, doing business as the Sambor Draft House and Grill, previously located at 2835 Westlake Road, Erie, Mill Creek Township, Erie County, to be utilized at the retail facility located at 2104 Hampton Road, Erie, PA, City of Erie, Erie County. Be hereby approved, subject to the subsequent approval by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board of the location-to-location transfer application, and further subject to Bachmiller Enterprises, Inc., complying with all policies and procedures not otherwise inconsistent with Pennsylvania law, City of Erie ordinances, and/or the restaurant liquor license approved by the PLCB. Discussion?
I would like to say something, Dr. Titus, please.
Yes.
So this is a very serious issue. To have a liquor license is a very serious job because you need security and you need patrons that are being held responsible for their actions so that they don't get into a car and drunk drive, and they're not going to take their liquor out to the parking lot and end up having brawls and shootings and fights. Being on council before, we've had problems in the past with certain establishments. So I'm holding this gentleman to his word who wants this liquor license for a new business. And please don't have loud music. I grew up several blocks away from Hullabaloo, if anyone remembers Hullabaloo. It was on McClelland Avenue by 38th Street. And my house was on East 38th Street, but past Burr Drive. So that's quite a distance away. However, as a child, on some particular nights, I couldn't go to sleep because of the loud music playing from Hullabaloo. So I know the disturbance issues. And I'm having some issues that I want to present to our enforcement officer with some other establishments in Erie too. We need to hold restaurants, bars, and anyone who has a liquor license accountable. Like I mentioned, we don't want bad situations for your neighborhood. I am going to vote yes, however, for this because this is something new and different, and he said it was going to be a quiet, acoustic place. Thank you.
I have a comment, President Tyler. I just wanted to, mention the neighborhood, the houses that are a short distance from this establishment. I just think that we have to be very alert when the neighbors and the neighborhood itself comes forward and lets their voices be heard, because those are the people who are there every day, every night, who have to live in the environment. Now, as someone who grew up on the Lower East Side, we had quite a few nuisance bars. I know what that impact can do to, the neighborhood. I just want us to be very aware that as communities move farther away from drinking, that these businesses are not staples at the moment, but the residents and the neighbors who build that neighborhood are. So I'm not going to vote against a new business because we always want new businesses to thrive and succeed, especially in our city. But I also want us to be very aware of the communities that are here 365 days a year, regardless of what businesses come in and out of the neighborhood. So with that bit of information, neighbors, if they are having community problems with this new bar or establishment that is going to be coming to your neighborhood, come down to City Council and let us know. Send us emails. If you get videos and you want to report it, we have our city email on the website to be aware of these type of things. I do get emails sometimes, especially with fireworks and things of that nature. So, our information is to the public, so email is a great way to communicate, but also coming down here on the first Wednesday or the third Wednesday of every night, third Wednesday at 6 p.m. to voice your concerns and let your elected officials know what's going on in your community. Because we can't be everywhere at all times, but if our community is letting us know what's going on in their neighborhoods, we can be more aware and more alert and nip things in the butt as soon as they come forward. So I just want the neighborhood to know that I see you, I hear you, and I know that regardless of if this business succeeds or not, you're going to still be there. And I want you to be more vocal on what you want to see in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Horton.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. Thank you to all my colleagues who already commented. It's kind of, I'm going to support this. Let me just preface my remarks by saying that, because I think it's important when we have businesses that are looking to relocate or we're able to retain businesses within our city boundaries. That said, I do know of people who have lived in close proximity to bars that have had bullets actually enter their home through drunk patrons. That's one thing. But why it's so dear to me is, my son was killed after a bar fight in a residential neighborhood with high-powered firearms were in play. And so I'm always concerned about the possibility of firearms being discharged in or around public spaces. I know of people who've actually been killed. I know a young man who was killed about 2 years ago, sleep in his bed. Firearm, a bullet entered his home, he never knew what hit him. I know the devastation. Nuisance bar, yeah, okay. Noise, yeah, okay. I'm talking about public safety. And so I also know the business that Mr. Bruno has conducted out at the Sandbar and how none of those things really, but it's a whole different location. It's not Peninsula Drive. It's West 21st Street. It's not West 6th Street where businesses are closed, usually that time, unless it's a motel or restaurant, McDonald's or something. It's people who live in there 24/7. And so I don't cast a yes vote lightly on this. And the residents in that neighborhood, some of which are my friends, who have voiced opposition to this. It's not that we don't hear you. I believe that Mr. Bruno is a responsible business owner. I believe that he'll do everything in his power.
Mr. Bruno is the attorney.
Well, Mr. Miller, excuse me. I believe Mr. Miller is a responsible business owner. I've already voiced my concerns to Mr. Bruno about process. I don't believe this is the way that this should come down here. I won't vote yes for another one that comes down here like this, where you put the cart before the horse. I do understand it. I think my concern is precedence, but I also understand that these things have to be considered on a case-by-case basis. Once you know, I lost my son after a bar fight, Mr. Bruno, and I hope, and Mr. Miller, I hope that no one else has to suffer anything remotely like that due to a patron coming out of your bar or irresponsible bartender continuing to serve alcohol to people who are obviously drunk. And my final concern is that that corner was already designated a nuisance spot. And so it's, So those are my concerns. Thank you, Dr. Titus.
Thank you, Councilor Horton.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I spoke in an affirmative way with that when we had the first hearing. Unfortunately, one of our most vocal and helpful citizens, Freda, who lives in the neighborhood and was a big opponent of this, isn't here today, and I don't know why. But
I couldn't make it.
She
couldn't make it.
Excuse me, I can say what she said, though, but.
Okay, you talk when I'm done, okay? My problems are, once again, my colleague here, Mr. Horton, talked about the cart before the horse. You might have a liquor license, but you might not have a place to put it. I've done research. If that place has been closed, as long as it's closed, you got to go to get it rezoned. That's not going to be a problem. I talked to our solicitor, and he is the great poobah of law here. So I'm going to vote in a positive on this and hope that you don't have to go through a whole other zoning thing, because I don't think the neighbors we'll give you the zoning mill. That's the bottom line. Thank you.
Yeah. So just in the interest of time and making sure that we stay on this one, I know that Freda had spoke out at the last one, and if council is okay, I'm comfortable knowing where her stance was on this. So I don't know that we have to read it, but I'm comfortable knowing that. My comment is with the ordinance update around saying that this is complying with policies, procedures not otherwise inconsistent with the Pennsylvania law, City of Erie ordinances. I think that statement right there gives a lot of power to make sure that our code and our other services that can monitor all the issues that were just brought up. I do echo the sentiment that the process was definitely in reverse before it became from council, and so I hope we can rectify that and not be in this position again. But because of that provision that is in this ordinance, I feel comfortable that should it come to that point, that we have put in the provisions that will allow us to make sure that the neighborhood is safe and that those neighborhoods are protected. So I will be voting yes, and it is because of those changes in that ordinance.
Dr. Titus, you mind if I have a couple comments? I know that I believe the bar that we're talking about was 21 Hampton, correct? That was. I know we hear the term nuisance bar. I would not want to put the history of the bar on a new person. You know what I mean? I think you have to give the new person an opportunity to prove themselves. You know, and based on his resume of running other places, we have nothing to believe that he will run a nuisance bar. I also, in the music business myself, had the opportunity to play at the Sandbar in the past. And I can tell you that out of all the venues that we played at, because if you look at my band, I heard one of the citizens talk about, she mentioned black people. I think she was from Harbor Creek. My band happens to be all black, basically. And except for one white individual, and we call him black anyways, because he's, you know. And so my crowd that we bring is also diverse. When you come to a Breeze Band show, you're going to see a really diverse crowd. I feel like our band brings the most diverse crowd in the city. And I can tell you that, in speaking to the people that come see my group, all the places that we played out that were near Mill Creek or in Mill Creek, the Sandbar was probably like one of the only places they felt really comfortable coming. And I believe that was just the way, I think Gary Miller, being an East grad, I believe, growing up around a diverse crowd, knows how to treat people of a diverse crowd. He also would talk to me and advocate for me and other places with other bar owners. I used to run an event called Blues for Shoes, which I still do, which is a community event for kids that I do every year for maybe 15 or 20 years. I think we ran that play at his facility at no cost for at least 5 years. And I think he even donated towards the cause. So, I mean, I think we have to give him, I hear the concerns of the citizens, but I think based on his past and his resume, he deserves an opportunity to prove that he can continue that same history that he's developed. And so those are just my comments on it.
Thank you.
I just have a quick comment. I understand this is just for the liquor license, and it still has to go through the zoning process. But as far as my colleagues, I agree with what they've all said, because I've spoken to police officers that said that, you know, they just got that place shut down. It was a nuisance bar for years, and the last meeting, the neighbors came to speak out on, you know, that they don't want that again in their neighborhood, and I totally agree with that. So this is just for the liquor license, and I'm in favor for that, and we'll just have to see the zoning process through and go from there, and we'll just have to keep like other bars in the city, we have to keep a close eye on how they handle their business.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to go ahead and call for the vote, Lori.
Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Hull,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Titus.
Yes.
Resolution passes yea 7, nay 0. This takes us to new business.
I'd ask for a motion to move the balance, and if there are any separations.
I would like to separate 2 and 3 under contracts.
We still need a first and a second to
We have,
move.
we have a first and a second.
Motion to move.
Second.
Move the balance.
Okay.
We have a motion from Councilor Brzezinski and a second from Flores, and now separate items 2 and 3, please.
Any other
Under contracts.
separations?
Any other separations for anyone? Okay. I think those are the only separations.
I just wanted to bring up the concern for the resident who mentioned number 2, the
Sorry, we need to vote on the balance, and then we'll come back to the separations.
Voting
Yes.
on moving the balance. Members Brzezinski,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Hull.
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
and Titus.
Yes.
Resolution passes yeas 7, nays 0.
Councilor Flores.
Okay, so I have some concerns with number 2, the Empire Snow Management Incorporation. We had a resident come forward and mention some violations, citations, and things of that nature. So I would like for us to table that. I don't know if I have a second, just because I think that we do get comfortable with just continuing on contracts with people we've already been doing business with. So
I'll
I would
second
actually.
that.
Okay, I would like to just see what the violations and infractions were before we move forward with this, if that's
So,
not.
just for clarity, this would actually be a new vendor for mowing.
Oh,
This person had the lowest bid. Now, the same vendor has done other work for the city in the past, not specifically mowing. So this is not the same vendor that we've had for the last several years.
okay, so this is a different vendor, but can we see the work that they've done in the past with us? Like, whatever, if they've had any infractions with whatever service we've received from them?
I think that would be a question, if you want specifics, I think that would be a question for Director Jason Sayers. Because it's in that realm, Public Works realm, that we've used them in the past.
So we do have a first and a second on the motion, so I think we need to, we'll address that first, and then we can come back to the discussion around the table, unless there's a withdrawal of the motion.
I mean, I'm still concerned, because if a resident came before with concerns with a specific company because of infractions, violations, and a record of just unsatisfaction,
I think
that we need to take that into
for
consideration.
clarity, I think the person who spoke out was the person was the company from last year.
Okay.
So they also submitted a bid. Their bid was not the lowest bid this year. So there is, that's just that.
Okay. All right, well then I'll motion to withdraw.
So you're saying that the person who spoke today was from the company that didn't get awarded the project again?
That is
And
correct.
so they're speaking against this?
That is
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Could I encourage you to maybe not table it then? Because
Yeah,
I'm very
that's why
confused.
I just said motion to withdraw.
No. I can't. I think your questions were valid, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I think that there's just a lot of confusion now. Is there a need? I know we haven't done the motion, so I'm trying to follow procedure here. I'm making sure that before we go into discussion about the motion.
Yeah, I think the concern from Public Works' point of view was that the grass is growing and that their goal was to get this approved today so that they can start planning out mowing on a regular basis. So if it's late 2 weeks, that means that certain areas won't be mowed in the next 2 weeks or longer, depending on the logistics.
Dr. Titus, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Attorney Check. That's my concern, too. I mean, it's grass cutting season. And although the gentleman may have some valid points, it comes across as something else. And so I would ask that our colleagues that we vote and we move on this today, so that we're not having people calling us about us not cutting our grass while we're trying to enforce citizens
Right.
for cutting theirs.
So I will motion to withdraw my motion to table. Do I have a
Yes.
second?
Okay, so-
Okay, great.
So now we have we're back to the original discussion about passing the contract. And I guess, I know we're not going to go within all of the contracts, but I'm assuming that there are provisions within the contract that if we are not satisfied with the work or the safety concerns, that we are able to terminate that contract. So if these complaints that have come forward and are sent by us are found to be valid, that gives us standing.
Call for the vote.
Yeah, most of our contracts, and I would assume this one as well, just because RFP is if the city's not happy with the performance, then we can do a notice of termination or cancel the contract in some other way.
Thank you.
So-
With that information, then I'd like to call for the vote. Thank you.
Okay, we're voting on the resolution from Empire Snow Management for lawn maintenance and weed control in various areas for a 2-year period with a 1-year extension for the Department of Public Works at a cost of $8,900 per month. Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski,
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Pohl.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Troop.
Yes.
Titus.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes, yeas 7, nays 0.
Before you move on to the next one, Dr. Titus, if you would.
Yes.
And I know that we voted, I'd like to ask the administration, could you at least, or our attorney, could you at least provide the scope of work, what they're supposed to be doing for $8,900 a month, so that we can make sure we're getting our bang for our buck?
Can I ask Jason to come to the mic and just let us know, so that contract, $8,900 a month, what does it include for lawn care? Can you just come to the mic on that? Thank you. That's what you're asking, Mr. Horton, correct? Okay.
Morning, Council.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure that we have to do that unless my other colleagues, I'd rather do it offline or whatever. I think that we, for the sake of, out of respect for my colleagues and time, I think I can find out from you what the scope of work
I can
is
share
at a
that.
later.
Yeah, even if
Thank
we
you
were,
all.
like, that could be addressed even in.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So this pulls us to
Number 3.
number 3.
The only reason why I separated number 3 was because I would just like Mayor Devlin to give the community a little bit of a explanation on what's going to be happening. From our understanding, we're not losing anything. We're just going to be leasing one of our baseball fields, and it's actually going to benefit us in the long run. So go ahead.
Happy to quickly give you the summary here. Build Better Fields is a 501c3 organization founded by 2 local members of our community who are very passionate about baseball. They've done an arrangement in the past with Mill Creek School District. Some of you will recall there was a lot of media attention about this, where they leased fields from the Mill Creek School District. I know behind J.S. Wilson, I think there's another one as well. Once they have the lease that they are able to control the property, they then raise dollars and make a significant investment to upgrade the fields. So having been successful in Mill Creek, they asked to do the same in the city of Erie. They proposed Hillside Park, which is up off of Old French Road behind Mason Farms there. Historically, the 2 fields there are named for Sam Jethro, so, very historic member, black baseball player in the city of Erie. These are beloved fields, and they've fallen into disrepair. The city does not have the money to invest. So Build Better Fields, if council agrees today, the city would lease those fields to Build Better Fields for basically $1. In exchange, Build Better Fields has committed to an investment of $100,000. That's $50,000 in each of the 2 baseball fields that are up there. They will also take over full maintenance, so they will drag the fields, they will take care of the lawn, they will keep track of the equipment. I believe they're going to be locking some equipment there as well. The city will have right of first refusal, so we'll be able to use those fields when we want to and for our purposes and for any standing permits we have. And then when we're not using them, Build Better Fields will have the ability to use and schedule at the fields. We think it's a win-win. We've talked at length about the need for baseball in the city of Erie. We think this is a step in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this?
Okay, we're voting on Build Better Fields for agreement to provide cooperative plan for improvement and operation of baseball facilities at Hillside Park, located at East 41st and Old French Road at zero cost. Members Brzezinski,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Pohl,
Yes.
Chalk,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Titus.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes yea 7, nay 0. And this takes us to committee reports.
Thank you. Just be a request from, that the council, we all be mindful of just our time and our assignments, but we will go ahead. I think I'm always picking on Mr. Brzezinski, so I'll start this time and give you a minute. We'll start over here with Councilor Pohl.
Thank you. Had a busy couple weeks. Attended the Port Authority meeting. Before that, they were involved in, I apologize, I don't remember the group that was doing it, but they had a tree planting ceremony at Wolverine Park on the Bayfront. And I attended the zoo transfer signing, which is very uplifting. I wasn't really for it in the very beginning, but that was before I was on council. And the more I learned about it, hopefully this will be a good thing for the city, for the citizens, and for the zoo itself. They had a ribbon cutting at Hands, restoring the property at 1319 Parade Street. And I'm glad to see that there's finally some movement on Parade Street to clean up that community because the neighbors really deserve a better. It hasn't been very well taken care of in the past probably 20 years. Last night I attended the Jefferson Society and listened to the governor speak. They had a question and answer. It was sold out, and it was very uplifting. It was a very uplifting speech. Very good questions were asked, and I think we're on the right path. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Troop?
Thanks, Dr. Titus. First off, I want to just start off by just the tragedy that we had in our city a few days ago. Really devastating. I actually had plans that night, and I couldn't even follow through with them because it just hit me so hard with the children. So also out to our firefighters, who heroes to put themselves in that situation too. So just to our whole community and for that situation. Just want to give a shout out to Mr. Johnny Johnson, his team, for what they did for Harry T. Burley, all the activities that they put forth. So I reached out to the Redevelopment Authority, and they just gave me some programs that, if you want to look into them more, these are some of the programs that they are developing there or are developed. One of them is called Project Spotlight, Emma Howe, the Emma Howe Apartments. It's a full cycle redevelopment success. Started in 2021. Also neighborhood stabilization and productive reuse of vacant lots. That's another program there. The East Bayfront Greenway, phase 1 work. The project has a completion date of late April to early May. Also, they are thankful for their public safety partnerships and demolition training use. They coordinate with the fire department and Erie Police Department for use of vacant lots for training and things like that. Their housing preservation and rehabilitation programs, something else they're happy about. HCV to home ownership learning cohort, Erie Land Bank. So any one of those programs, if you want more information, you can go to the Redevelopment Authority. Also from the EMTA, they wanted me to let everybody know that Otis 12, the restaurant out on West 12th Street, they're going to have a new facility in the EMTA facility. They have began their fit out for the restaurant under the parking ramp. I think the grand opening will be when they celebrate the 14th Fest, which will be on June 11th. So look forward to that, Otis 12 Restaurant. They also fielded 3 new CNG trolleys and 5 CNG fixed bus routes. The buses will continue to replace diesels with clean burning CNG, further reducing particulate pollution in our community. I also contacted the Citizens Response Line. They just wanted citizens to know that they will no longer collect the limbs and or branches that are caused by storm damage that land on the sidewalk or the city right away. They have to be picked up and put into garbage cans or open containers, and they will then collect it that way. If you want more information on this, you can look at the city calendar. Also, from the Human Relations Commission, I reached out to them. They wanted us to know that there's going to be 2 vacancies on the advisory board and that we have to replace those. All right, so they want us to know that. And then one other thing on a personal note, actually 2 other things. I saw on Facebook, and it kind of intrigued me. I saw a couple people celebrated their 100th birthday. So I'm interested to see if there are how many 100-year-olds or more living in Erie at this time. I think that's kind of special to still be, vibrant and living life at that time. So maybe we can recognize those people somehow. And then on a personal note, this Saturday, if you know any families that can use, and children that need Easter baskets, I have been organizing this event for about 15 years. It's a free Easter basket giveaway. It will be hosted at Odessa's Place, which is 628 West 18th Street. And if you want to come volunteer, you're welcome to do that. I know Councilwoman Flores has volunteered. Councilwoman Schaaf has volunteered over the years. That'll start at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and it'll go to 3 p.m. There might be some other things being given away that day also. So if you know anyone who needs that, please feel free to share the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flores.
Thank you. I did want to speak on the tragedy that our community has experienced with losing young life to fire. Our first responders, our men and women who are firefighters, they see things that we just quite can't comprehend, and I know that this is sitting heavy with them, so I do want us to be standing with them. But I also want us to acknowledge that a lot of our housing is old. A lot of our housing has had a lot of deferred maintenance. A lot of our housing might not be up to code with electrical wiring. So we as a community and as a city and as elected officials have to be on these landlords and on these property owners to make sure that they are doing their due diligence to take care of the residents who are paying them every month faithfully with confidence that they are living in safe housing. So you all know how I feel about renters, you all know how I feel about landlords, so I'm not going to continue on that. I also wanted to mention that I attended the No Kings protest on March 28th between noon and 2 at Perry Square. It was great to see so many community members in our community standing up for what they believe in, but there were thousands of people out there, and that was reassuring that we all don't believe and care to believe that what this administration is doing is what we all want. In America, we have the First Amendment right to the U.S. Constitution guarantees 5 core freedoms: freedom of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government for redress of grievance. So that's our right. And with that being said, I'm happy that a lot of our city residents did actually stand up for something on Saturday. I also attended a free grant writing program at Blasco Library. I love our Blasco Library. I love our library. Our library provides so much information, so much training, so much opportunity, there's the word, for our community to be able to educate ourselves, enlighten ourselves, and do better for ourselves. No cost to me. Just sat in the training with 2 other individuals who decided to spend their evening doing that. The Environmental Advisory Council had their meeting on March 25th at 3 p.m. The City of Erie Planning Commission had their meeting on March 17th at 1 p.m. The City of Erie's Land Bank had a meeting at March 16th at 1 p.m. All of these meetings are available on our city website. Well, not website, but our city YouTube page and then our city Facebook page. These are meetings that are public to the community, but you sometimes can't make the time because of how early it is on our workday when you're working 9 to 5. But going back and rewatching that little video for those boards and authorities is very enlightening and lets you know what's going on in the city outside of our meetings. So it's really useful information. And I definitely recommend that if you care about your city and what we're going to be doing over the next 10, 15, 20 years, pay attention to those meetings. We have opening day, Friday, April 3rd at 6:05. So, you know, the baseball team is back in action and we're looking forward to celebrating our boys, you know, 2-time champions. Let's see if we get a third. We have our Easter Sunday on April 5th. So please just, you know, be mindful of family who have experienced loss. The holidays is very hard for community members who don't have the family members that we miss on these days. But I also do encourage people, if you need assistance, to please reach out to the Odessa's Place on Saturday and show up and get the supplies and Easter candy and baskets that Maurice and his mother have been providing to our community for quite some time, because that is a great program, and the smiles that you see is all I'm saying. We have large item pickup request number as 814-870-1550. Please, everyone, put in the request and make sure those large items that you're putting outside are actually approved so that we can get our city to look cleaner. We border our lake. We should have pride in how we look and taking care of our environment. Mother Earth needs us to be its advocate, so let's do our part. And then for potholes, I know I'm not happy about the CDBG money going towards potholes, but I do hear our community members, and they hate our streets. They say that it is wear and tear on their vehicles, so if you have a specific pothole in your neighborhood or a street that you drive regularly, please call 814-870-1340 and get that filled. I also wanted to mention that the last day to register to vote is May 4th to participate in the primary election on May 18th. Pennsylvania has closed primaries, so you have to be a registered Democrat or a Republican to participate in the primary election on May 19th. Just do your part. If you care about your community, if you care about your city, your state, getting out and voting is probably one of the biggest things that you can do to advocate. As somebody who's been voting since I was 18, I voted for Obama in a Latino household that my grandma didn't quite understand why she was dropping me off at the church, but I told her I had to vote. So, you know, sometimes you have to be the educator in your family. You have to be the one who encourages them to do different from what we're taught. So as the first person in my family to be elected, I advocate for people being registered to vote, participating in our community, and make sure you're advocating for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Brzezinski?
Wow.
Sorry, today I came ready. I didn't give a report last time, so.
You did very well. Ms. Flores already helped me with the Seawolves opening night, Friday. Some people are upset because it falls on Good Friday, but there's no church on Good Friday night, so we should be in good shape. Other things, I'm sure you heard the news that we're in the airport's in the works of finally getting a flight from Erie down to Fort Lauderdale through Tampa. They have previously been going to Orlando and Tampa. That's something that's in the works. Last meeting, I congratulated Dan Serafin and his family for 100 years over on the east side. I can't forget Larry's Market over here on the west side either, because they're celebrating 100. I don't know if those guys got together and flipped a coin, decide where they're going to put their stores, but both stores have been there for 100 years. That's pretty neat. And I'm looking here. On your way out, make sure you wish Mrs. Mirsky a happy birthday. She's not telling a whole lot of people, but I got my birthday hug yesterday ahead of time. So happy birthday. Hope she can hear us. And finally, have a blessed and happy Easter, and over and out.
Thank you. Councilor Horton.
Catherine.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. So I'll preface my remarks by saying last week's at our last meeting in the public hearing, I was very, very troubled. A young lady came in here, I'll call her young, and she said that she was being overrun by mice. She said she had like 2,000 mice in her house, jumping up, eating her toilet paper on her stove. And I just happen to believe that if you have 2,000 mice in your house jumping on your stove, they're probably running across your bed too. And it broke my heart. We broke that public comment period for a public hearing, and the developers came and they stated their case. But it was very, very sharp contrast that occurred that day. And sitting in this seat, being able to look and see, was even more bothersome to me. It was almost like, hurry up and get this over so we can have our public hearing. Know those people. Know they love this community too. I'm not sure they love the people in the community as much as they love the community. It was troubling to me. I almost felt like going out asking, can I pay for a few nights for room for her? I don't even think they even spoke to the lady. Excuse me if I get emotional. I don't know if any of you have ever been homeless, but I have. And so Mr. Kissel came and made his comments, and I went back and I met with a couple of my colleagues, and I met with the mayor, and I don't know what can be done. I have no desire to stop this project, but we do want developers to do what they say they're going to do. And I'm a firm believer of saying, and I don't have no problem saying it, I'll scream it, I've been screaming it. If you're getting public money to pay for 1/4 of a project, you should be the first one in line asking where I pay my taxes.
That's right.
Not asking for a 10-year later while our residents are living in filth. And so I speak about the work that must be done between the 3 taxing bodies. I think that there's some continuing conversations to be had with the health department and our building codes people to see where there's synergy and intersectionality, because some of these places should be condemned. And we know that people live in those conditions for fear of being in the street. I know that the county gave $33 million over COVID to landlords, many of them who don't even live here in the city, to pay for rental assistance, utility assistance. They didn't fix those places up. They raised the rent.
They did.
And so I'm telling my colleagues, now we have to do something. I'm asking the mayor, we have to do something going forward, and we should embed language, community benefit agreement language, into anybody who's receiving a CRIS, anybody who's receiving a RACP. You should be able to look at the state of our city and want to help instead of extracting all the time. I get, yeah, the developers are happy. Yeah, if you build it, they'll come. But what about the people who live here on the East Bluff, West Bluff, won't ever be able to afford a room in the hotel? They're not only being displaced, even those who can afford their home, their taxes are going up. They're the ones most convenienced by all the trucks trafficking through our neighborhoods, tearing up our streets that we don't have money to pay for.
That's right.
So that's my comment on that. Mr. Rensel, I am so sorry that you have to deal with those things. I know it's true. Hell, I go out and knock on doors, I see porch monkeys on people's porch, on property in the city of Erie, a block away from the projects. You have the audacity to put a monkey with a banana in his hand out in your driveway. Not one, not two. I'm starting to see them more and more. And so, Erie's a racist place. It ain't just got this way either. Good news is our better days are ahead because we have a mayor and a team who are committed to improving the quality of life for the citizens in this city, come hook or by crook. And so finally, cameras, police. I'm meeting with the chief of police tomorrow morning and his command staff. I'm excited about it. I had to call and apologize because my injuries prevented me from doing so sooner. There was a shooting outside my house a couple of days ago. I put the border patrol up, but I wouldn't put our officers up, even though they did a great job. They came and they collected the brass out of my driveway. See, well, thank God no one was hurt that we know of. But the most impressive thing I seen was our new officers in action. We got 3 dogs. One is for explosives and gunpowder. During the day and the evenings, we have the narcotic dogs. But that dog came out there and they were out there wild. They were looking for brass. I seen the guy bring the dog out. I'm standing there talking to my neighbor. I said, I bet he's an explosive gunpowder. Blah, blah. That dog got out, took a sniff, walked around 30 seconds, sat down. I said, did that dog just alert? And the officer said, yeah, he did. And I thought that was some real cool stuff, man. And so I can't wait to tell the chief and the men of the Erie Police Department how much I look forward to working with them to make things better, not only for the department, but more so for the citizens in this city. And I think we all want the same thing. I asked this command staff, can I help? I wore different hats. I was in NAACP, fought them a lot of times. A new role, new scope of work. Everybody gets a clean slate. Ask, can I have a clean slate? We're going to come in this and we're going to be a team at this. He said, yeah, so I'm excited about that relationship. Housing Authority. Young man talked about, he didn't know what he was talking about, but he was talking about it anyway, and that's being able to grow food in the Housing Authority apartments, where they used to give them seeds to grow, and they say it's a mice problem. And I keep beating this development thing because I think it all interacts. I don't know where a lot of mice are eating corn and vegetables, but I do know they're around garbage. I do know that the development is largely a lost cause of why we are being overrun by mice. I remember the Bayfront Highway was houses before they tore it down. I remember down along the bluff and all that development, not only driving mice, but it's driving raccoons and skunks into people's neighborhoods. And somebody ought to say something about it. And so I'm the one to say something about it. Thank you, Dr. Tyler. I was going to say Mr. President, but I like the term Dr. Tyler. I feel like you earned that, and I want to always be respectful of that.
I appreciate
So thank you so much for indulging me.
Thank you. Councilor Schaaf.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. Thank you all who spoke. Concerning the people who spoke, thank you very much. I won't reiterate, but we do write things down. We do look into them, and I want to thank Mayor Devlin on your proponent of reading for the CDBGs. As an educator of 40 years, I am very, very strong support of the library and the reading. The librarians this past Saturday in the children's area were very helpful to me. I was looking for some religious books about Easter, and I thought I went through them all and couldn't find them, but they actually came up to me with some books that they had found that I didn't think I completely overlooked for a volunteer day that I did at St. James for the K through 2 students with their religious retreat program that they had for the Easter week. I want to thank David Ulig. Public art, I am a huge proponent of public art. I was actually an art teacher too. So I would like to suggest that we do something like Kingsport, Tennessee did. They had a year where they redid their park, not redid, but they did new park benches, and they tried to have different artists do them, and it was great. People can use them, and all different artistic ways to do a bench. I was really astounded how they were able to do that. I want to thank our Treasury Department. March 31st was the last day to get your percentage off, and so many people were coming in, and there were very, very long lines, but they took care of everybody and did a great job with paying their taxes for this month. I want to thank the institutions that invite us to attend things, because I'm all for being able to affirm the goodness and the wonderful things that the nonprofits and people are doing. You know, it's very hard on us, I don't know, for me anyway, emotionally, to bear all this pain and sorrow and you know, things that need to be fixed in Erie. So it's good to be uplifted as well. So last night, or Monday night, Ms. Pohl and Dr. Titus and myself and the Mayor Devlin was at the Mercy Center for Women, and they had very great, inspirational 18 different stories of women in motion in the Erie County area, and it was a great evening supporting them. I did also attend the ribbon cutting for 1319 Emma Howell Apartments, and I did not realize that Emma Howell was did her part for the Underground Railroad. So that is huge, and it was great to see that they have this historic marker now right in front of the apartments as well, so people can get the history behind it. And now there's 4 new apartments that Hands supported, and many other collaborative partners there. I attended the Water Authority, and I did mention the cuts in the road that a woman had brought to our attention, and they said the asphalt company had not yet been running at certain times. So now I'm sure the asphalt company is, because it's spring. So they're going to look over and go over and make sure that their cuts are going to be smoother. And Brian Slawin from Ben Franklin Technologies had a great business venture of giving Desiree and Bob Troutner and Chris Wynn money for their new services. Desiree and her husband Bob have a home handyman services called Fix, and it's for smaller things that are wrong in your house. Let's say not a big construction, but they set people up to, and they're already certified and accredited and safe people to come into your house for projects. So I thought that was pretty cool, because not everybody has a big project, but they have little project. And Chris Wynn, in talking with him, and he has plans for the Savacchio Park in growing vegetables and food in different ways, not the traditional way. So it was very interesting talking with them. I went to the Port Authority meeting as well, and the West Side Saints Neighborhood Watch, Ms. Pohl and Dari Devlin, our mayor. Thank you. It's good to hear from the different neighborhoods what's going on and their concerns, and we bring those to where we need to bring those concerns to. And also thanking Cheryl Rushdix and Johnny Johnson. I attended with my husband the Harry T. Burley Festival night at Mercyhurst D'Angelo. That was awesome and amazing. The choir and the concert was truly remarkable. I also had a great night at Prep with Les Mis, PACA did Ripcord play, and the Erie Philharmonic, March 21st, I had 1 tickets for, and that was a part of the Harry T. Burley Festival as well. So, traffic. It happened already this morning. I get at least twice a day where I see people going through red lights, and this one was terrible. Someone was going up Ash, did a left-hand turn, but it was red, and the person in front of me almost, could have hit him. But thankfully, the person in front of me knew that you have to really be careful. So we have to slow down, people, and we have to know when you get in that car, you are responsible, not just for yourself, but for other people. You have to drive without being intoxicated, without having drugs in your system, making sure your children are safe in safety seat belts. When you get in front of your car and get in your car, you have to be careful. Slow down. It's spring. Let's not get this worse. We have to nip things in the bud. Nuisance bars, I am working on that as well and following up with some things there. And spring cleanup too. Be responsible for your trash by not putting it out until you know it's going to be picked up within a couple hours. Don't throw it out there 5 days ahead of time and expect it to be there in that perfect condition. There's rules and regulations. Please follow them.
Thank you. So my report, I want to start with one thing that's not on my liaison spot, but to acknowledge what we were able to accomplish yesterday. Yesterday was Trans Day of Visibility, and oftentimes, as being the trans person on council, I hesitate because I get a lot of emails that be like, stop always talking about trans things, but I'm trans, and so it's part of my makeup, and I need to talk about some of these things. But last night, we filled this entire room. Almost every seat was filled with young trans people in the city and their friends, and it was a truly phenomenal and amazing sight. And it was to just gather and celebrate visibility, not to be in fear of the legislation we're seeing happening, but to just be in community together. We were supposed to be outside, but due to the very bad storm, we were permitted to come in here, and it was really a wonderful thing to just witness community together in that capacity. So thank you for everyone who participated and helped that come into fruition. Also I'm going to take a hard turn here and go back into my liaison reports. We have the authorities and boards and commission. It's now relaunched on the website. That is something that the administration works very hard on creating more transparency and allowing people in the community, and we're going to have a study session on this to go over all the different authorities, boards, and commissions for the community to see as well. But so that we're creating more opportunity. I'm actually in the process right now of mapping where every single person who is appointed lives, so we can see where we have overrepresentation and underrepresentation in our city. This is quite an endeavor, I will tell you right now. But there is a very clear pattern that is coming to emerge, and I would like for all of us to be aware as we are appointing people that we're making sure that the entire city has representation. So that is something I'll continue to work on. I did want to say last week, myself, the mayor, chief of staff, and a district judge met to discuss several of the housing issues that have been brought up here, and trying to really understand from the district judge perspective, where are some of the breakdowns in implementing and enforcing some of the, not just the Tenant Bill of Rights, but some of the code and ordinances that we're seeing, and how can we improve this, and making sure that even district magistrates are fully aware, and we have the ordinances in place to allow them and help them, empower them to do the job so that we are protecting our residents. So I think we're coming at this from many angles, and which is very important because it's a complex issue. I do want to, in closing, Actually, I'm going to step back. We had a resident who's come here a couple times and talking about the flock cameras. And I know that this can sound very abstract, but this is an incredibly dangerous area that we as council need to be aware of, what these cameras are capable of, and how insecure that they are, meaning that anybody from around the world can tap into these cameras and watch our residents at any time. That's the kind of power. So if we do not act on this, we are essentially giving permission for our residents to be stalked and watched and targeted. And so that is something that we need to invest in understanding. And in closing, I do want to echo the sentiment that several of the councilors have said and deeply thank the first responders who showed up this weekend and who will be carrying this with them forever, because you can't unsee some of the things that they've had to hold. And I'm deeply grateful for all of them who've shown up. And my heart is with everybody who is impacted by this. And to, again, echo what my fellow councilors have said, is this is also a direct reflection of what's happening in our city. This is not an incident that happens in isolation. This is a reflection of where money goes, where it's invested, where it's not invested, what community members get support, what communities don't get support, who's stigmatized, who's not stigmatized when they reach out. And so this incident is a reflection of many of the other underlying issues that are happening in our community. And I'm deeply committed, as I know we are, as a council and as is the administration, to address the issues that overlap here. And with that, I will go ahead and pass over to, I did see our controller in the audience, and if you wanted to report, no pressure, but if you do.
Hello. I apologize for being late today. I also want to acknowledge my son Luciano is in our audience today. I also want to express my sincere condolences and give my prayers to the families that were affected in this tragedy and to our firefighters, first of all. My heart goes out to everyone in this situation. I also want to report that everything is going well in the controller's office. We're rolling out some updated procedures and new training tools to help our people better understand our processes and keep the streamlining happening. Our interdepartmental meetings are still in process. They're going well. Our office is going out of our way to make sure checks and balances are in place for purchases and expenditures. We are working on ensuring an equitable bidding process continues. And we are also continuing to be mindful, intentional, and proactive in all of our processes in our office. And thanks again to my great and conscientious staff. They take very good care of me.
Thank you. We have a report from the solicitor.
The solicitor has no report, okay. So I will give mine. I know it's late. I have a couple of items. The tragedy that we experienced as a community on Sunday, you've all noted. I just want to give you some data that I think is important. I talked to the chief of police yesterday. We've had 8 infant and child deaths in the city of Erie since the beginning of 2026. So in the first quarter of 2026, we've had 8. And depending on, we're praying for the 5-month-old child that's in Pittsburgh, but I have heard that there's very severe injuries there as well. So we could have 9. We had 4 all of 2025. So we are double already the number of infant and child deaths at this point in 2026 than we've had in past years. And I think we as a community have to understand something's happening here. And I don't know what that is. And I think we all can understand that it is an effect of poverty in our community, but it's not enough for us to just say that. So I'm letting you know that I'm convening some partners on this just to talk. I've asked the Erie Family Center to come in and have a conversation. I spoke with Tika Nixon on Monday night at the Mercy Center event. Tika runs Birth Root, which supports young mothers. Her husband Ken has a fatherhood initiative. So I'm open if all of you know of other people. We need to support our young parents. The woman who lost her children on Sunday, I noted she's younger than my oldest son. She's 23 years old. So we have something happening here as a community, and I think it's our obligation to understand more. So more to come, but I just want to let you know we can't just talk about it. I think we have to do something. I want to acknowledge the comments made tonight about the Scott Hotel, Mr. Eulig's comments about public art. And I do want to remind the community that council does not make decisions for the CRIS Authority. The CRIS Authority is a separate entity. The CRIS Authority meets on the third Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock at the offices of McDonald, Dillig, Jones & Britton at 100 State. There is public comment there in those meetings. I would highly encourage the community to go to those meetings and to say many of the things you're saying here. I know I and council are happy to hear them, but we are not providing the funding for these projects. We are acting on a zoning issue, but the funding is coming from a different body. I sit on that authority, and I am saying to you, we would welcome you, the public, to come and express your opinion. So please do that. If you need more information, let us know. I want to speak to the issue about police complaints and remind everyone we have a very robust police complaint process. You can go to the city's website, go to the police department. You'll see on the sidebar how to file a complaint. You can do it in person. You can do it via email. You can do it over the phone. I would encourage, when you have specific concerns about police behavior, that you go through that complaint process. That's how we know, and that's how we can make sure we do it better. On that note, we are swearing in 7 new police officers on Monday. We have a diverse group this year. We always have room for improvement in that area, but I am happy that we're seeing some progress. In my comments at the swearing in, we'll be talking about how recruitment is now open for more police officers so that we can try to get a more diverse pool to apply. We think that that's part of the work we have to do to build community trust. So I just want to make the public aware of that. The Housing Authority food issue that was discussed. Mr. Horton, you're correct. The Housing Authority has put out notice that they will not allow community gardens in their public housing developments. I met with the director of the Housing Authority last week. She explained the reason why. That's not my concern. What I will tell you is we are now working with the Redevelopment Authority to see if we can make land available for some of these community gardens. The Housing Authority needs to make their decisions. I'm not going to be critical of that. But as a partner of the Housing Authority, if we can provide other spaces, we're going to try to do that. So we're working with the Redevelopment Authority to provide a solution there. I want to let everyone know the governor was here yesterday. I know you all know he was in town. He specifically, his first stop was at City Hall. He met my team, and then he and I spent about 45 minutes together, one-on-one, which I was very grateful for. We talked about poverty. We talked about housing. We talked about living wage jobs in the city of Erie. I know that he is supportive of our work, and we had some really good conversation and some connections made for how we can continue and how the state can help us. So I just want to let you know he's a partner to us in this, and I was very grateful for the amount of time he took to hear about from me what's happening in the city of Erie. We want to wish the Gannon University men's basketball team. I'm supposed to be there now. I'm not because I sent my team over. They are leaving today for their Division II National Championship game. We're proud of Gannon and this team. I think they deserve our support, so we wish them well as they head off to their National Championship game. We want to welcome Alan Clark, who I know was here before. Alan is the city's new emergency management coordinator. You might have seen an article in the paper about this. This was a position you all approved in last year's budget. We've now filled it. We're excited for him to help us be prepared for emergencies. I want to also just note this issue of renters. So next Thursday, we are holding a study session with council on the rental registration program. We have worked very diligently on a number of changes that we're going to be bringing to council for discussion. I would encourage anyone from the public to come to that. Those are open. Study sessions at 5:30. Am I right about that? Okay. 5:30 here in council chambers next Thursday. I think you'll hear about some solutions we're proposing for exactly some of the things we've talked about. So look for that. Just a couple of other announcements. April 14th, on the city's birthday, that's before our next council meeting, we will be making a press announcement on our summer schedule. Also on April 14th, I'll be doing a 100-day presentation on my first 100 days in office at the Jefferson. We can send all of you information on that. On April 18th, we are having a community conversation at the JFK Center. That's going to be at 11 a.m. We're doing these on a quarterly basis. This one's going to be more like a town hall where the public can come and talk about their concerns and I can answer questions. So that's the 18th of April. That's also Erie Day at the Seawolves. So any resident in the city of Erie, I think, can get a $5 ticket. So if you're interested, that can be a long day of community activity. And lastly, I want to express greetings on the Passover holiday that's coming up, I think beginning tomorrow or Friday, and then Easter. In the spirit of diversity, I will always note that while Western Christians will celebrate Easter this Sunday, Eastern Christians like myself will celebrate it the following Sunday. So it is not our Good Friday this Friday. That's why I can throw out the first pitch. Otherwise, I would have been in church services. But we have a diverse group of religions in our community, and I think it's important that we all recognize and wish greetings to each other. Spring is a holy season for many, and so I wish all of you who are celebrating in any way, blessings and peace with your families. And just a reminder, City Hall will be closed this Friday, April 3rd, in observance of Good Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I believe that brings us to a point where we can hit the gavel and we say this meeting is adjourned.
City Council adjourns at 11:18 a.m. Members Titus, Brzezinski, Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, and Troop.